Hey everybody, welcome back. So we are now 1 week away from the beginning of JoCoAlbMo, and we have 5 folks signed up, which is not a huge number, but definitely a big improvement over last week, so I think that's pretty exciting. And I have now moved myself from initial conception of this idea to sort of excitement about the idea, and I am now moving into the stage of full-fledged panic and wondering how I'm going to pull this off. So, since I can't actually start work on the record itself yet, I've been thinking of ways that I can kind of get going. So, obviously one of the first ideas that comes up is making notes, and I've been doing that, making a lot of notes about, what I want the album to contain, and making notes about the concept and different ideas for songs and things like that. But the other thing I've been trying to do is now looking at that list, thinking about, all right, what are the musical things that I'm going to need to be able to do to kind of realize everything that's going on. So this album's going to have a lot of aspects to it. It's going to have some traditional type music to it, but it's also going to have maybe some like electronic things and some crazy sound things. And, I've been thinking about like, what are all the tools that I'm going to need to be able to put that together? So in the interest of kind of sharing this experience with you and what the preparations are, I kind of thought I'd talk a little bit about that. So, quick overview here of like the kinds of tools that I've been thinking about and getting prepared in the weeks coming up to the beginning of this. So obviously the first thing you think of is musical instruments, right? I have to have my instruments ready. Well, I don't have everything I want, but the stuff that I've got, and I've just been trying to make sure that it's ready. Like, for example, our piano's been in need of a tuning for some time, and we were already planning on doing that. So I just tried to accelerate that so that I could get that done this month, and hopefully that's on track, and I'll have a nice, freshly tuned piano for March 1st. I have a guitar I might want to restring, things like that. Recording gear, what I've got. I don't really have the budget to invest in anything new right now, so I got a couple of microphones, I've got my computer, things like that. I'm just going to kind of run with it, and fortunately I've been using it for insiders releases and roughs and things like that I've shared with you folks. So I know that it's pretty much working, and I know what it can do, so I think I'm good there. Now, when I start thinking about actually then taking that recorded music and putting it together, I think about the different kinds of capabilities that I want to have for production, right? So multi-track recording and editing is kind of the stuff that you usually think of when you're making music, right? That's the ability to like record guitar first, come down, put vocals over it later, come back, put background vocals over that, and then mix it all together at the end. So, I have GarageBand on my computer. It's a pretty, basic program for doing that. Works pretty well. I've used it before for my roughs and things like that. So I think I'm in good shape on that front. Audio processing had to do with more the electronic and crazy sound kind of stuff I want to play with on this record a little bit. I wanted to have the ability to take audio data that I've recorded and basically bring it into the computer as raw numbers and just manipulate the numbers mathematically. This is related to signal processing and stuff that I kind of do in my engineering background. So fortunately, there's this tool called Octave. It's kind of the freeware version of a program called MATLAB that I've used a lot in my engineering work. And it basically lets you do that. I found a way to get audio into it, and if you've been on Facebook, you've seen maybe some images of some things that I've been playing around with and experiments that I've been doing just to make sure that I know how to do that, that if I come up with a way that I want to process the sound mathematically, that I have a way to do that. So those tests have been going pretty well, and I think I've at least got some basic capability there that I'm very happy about. And then the last thing is what I wrote on here as sample manipulation. If I record a little sound and I want to play that sound over and over again, like almost as if it were on a keyboard, taking it as a sample and manipulating that sample, making copies of it, moving it around, turning it into loops. I wanted to have that capability too. I'm not 100% sure yet how I'm going to use it, but I wanted to make sure that I had it. So I spent some time actually this past week messing around in GarageBand, and thankfully it has a pretty easy way to do that. So I have that capability kind of squared away too. So that makes me feel like I have some of the basic things that I want to be able to do when I think about how I want to put the music together. I feel like I have the tools ready to do that. So then this last thing that I wrote had to do with space and access. And what I mean by that is, for most of us, finding big, huge blocks of time to work on our art is really hard. We have work, we have family stuff, many of us, we have, day-to-day stuff that you have to get done. And it's really hard to be like, all right, I'm going to head into my studio and spend 4 or 5 hours, or even getting a couple hours sometimes is really hard. So I think that one of the ways around that in day-to-day life is, if you know you're going to be working on a project, if you can find a space to kind of set up all your stuff and have access to all your gear, and it's kind of like ready to go, so that if you get half an hour, if you get an hour, you can go into that space and you can get some stuff done. So, I've been kind of thinking about that a little bit now in this last week, getting ready of like where I can set stuff up and get it so that I can use every little bit of time that I've got to spare to go in there and make progress. And I think that's going to be really important. So those are the things I'm trying to do, and since I can't actually start working on the record yet, I'm trying to think of ways that I can kind of prepare myself so that I'm like really ready to go when the starting gun goes off next week. So I appreciate you following along. I'm going to keep you posted on how this goes, and talk to you again next week. So for new music this week, I've been thinking about the artists that have influenced me in ways that I think are really relevant to JoCoAlbMo starting up next month. I think part of the idea of the project is that by giving you this really unrealistically short time frame to make a record, it forces you as an artist to focus on the creation of material and less on the production of material. As a musician, there's always this balance to be struck between writing music, creating music, what it is that you want to say artistically, and then how you render that. Is it polished? Does it sound professional? Does it sound clean? Does it sound like something you could put on the radio? You're always kind of fighting that tug of war in a way. For JoCoAlbMo, you almost don't have a choice. You really have to focus on creation, and production's got to be kind of just good enough, right? So as I think about this, I think of the artists who've really shown me the power of raw creation, who've shown me how do you just get stuff out there? How do you just take ideas and put them out there and do that by sort of casting away some of the concerns and fears that often drive the production side of things? One of the most prolific artists that I know, and someone who is absolutely a master at this, is a friend by the name of Alex Botten. Alex lives in the UK. We've never really met face to face. We met online years ago, actually through a non-musical related discussion. But once I found out he was a musician, I started checking out some of his material, and it's so diverse, it's so broad, and I think it's brilliant, and it's absolutely been an influence to me as an artist. Alex is extremely prolific. He works in a variety of different types of sounds. Some of the stuff that he writes is kind of traditional. He'll pick up a guitar and he'll play chords and he'll sing and he'll have lyrics. And then other stuff that he does is just raw sound art, I almost want to call it. He'll take samples from ambient environments or samples from other types of electronic sounds and other sounds that he finds, and he'll just manipulate them and layer them and create these great spaces from them. And it's not all ambient music that he generates. Some of it has a lot of form line to it, has a lot of motion to it, has a lot of emotion to it. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. When I think about what links to share with you, I'm going to put some time into that, and I'm going to try to put some links below as maybe suggested, I don't want to call them starting points maybe, or little samples of different types of things that Alex has done. But what I'm really going to do is I'm going to give you links to just all of his projects. He has multiple projects out there. Many of them have multiple albums out. There's just so much to explore. And I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to explore his work. You're going to find a lot of things that are maybe kind of outside the box for you, maybe, just very different. Maybe they don't even appeal to you, but that's not really the point of it. The point of it is to really, appreciate how many different things he's done. Alex is an artist that, for me, reminds me of the importance of artistic integrity. Reminds me the importance of having fun with this, of saying the things you want to say, creating stuff, and not letting yourself be haunted by expectations, either your own or other people's. And I think that, particularly as I prepare for JoCoAlbMo, but even as an artist overall, that's something that I really need to remember. And as an influence, Alex has been great in that regard. So, whether it's, kind of his more traditional, almost folky kind of stuff, or whether it's he has an album called Live Paper with his project A Small Glass Ghost, where he literally gets up in front of an audience in a club and uses electronics to manipulate sounds that he generates entirely from manipulating a single sheet of paper in front of a microphone. And it's brilliant. I think it's really great. So, you know, depending on what you're looking for in music, maybe it's, again, not going to be something that you're going to dance to or rock out to or what have you. But in terms of opening our minds as to what makes art, I think it's really great. So I'm going to put some links below. Please explore. Please check it out. Most of Alex's stuff is kind of safe for work, safe for kids, although every once in a while there's something that's not. Like, again, he touches a broad range of things, a broad range of emotions. So you might want to pre-screen anything that you're, that listeners may be sensitive to. But for the most part, it's all great and really worth checking out. So I want to send out my thanks to Alex for his years of inspiration, and I hope that it's going to come to serve me in the challenge I have to face next month. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you soon.